Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports and 3Chi. I am your host, Robbie Fox, or am I? And this is my co-host, Clem, or is it? We don't know, because this week we're recapping Secret Invasion Episode 1. It's the pilot, new Marvel series. It's kind of an espionage, spy, Winter Soldier type feel. And first episode, I thought was pretty damn good, Clem. I was very into it. I wasn't blown away by it. I wasn't like, this is something I've never seen before, but I thought it was very good. I love the vibe. I love the tense scenes of pretty much suspecting literally every single person in this show is an alien at all times. It's kind of like freebasing Mephisto into my veins.
Bob, the sus list. Let me read you the sus list. Every motherfucking buddy is on the sus list right now. Even guys that or girls even that aren't on the sus list. If you change the scene, I'm like, oh, this might be someone that isn't the person we've been with for 95% of the episode or the season. So anytime I see someone on screen, I am thinking Skrull. The Skrull list is basically what the sus Skrull list.
They should change the IMDb instead of cast. It should just say sus list or scroll list.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I got to say, we were talking about the marketing last week of Secret Invasion, or maybe the week before, and how it kind of snuck up on us and we didn't really know it was coming. Not a ton of commercials compared to other Marvel shows, I felt. Not a ton of other ads. Then it kind of ramped up and they started doing some interesting advertising. So they started putting out codes and you had to put the code in and figure out the puzzle. And then you get like the first 5 minutes of the episode. And then they had people in full Skrull makeup and face paint walking around Chicago, walking around the Bean, walking around all places in America, I guess. I think it's pretty cool advertising for them to do something different for this. I also, after watching the first episode, kind of understand if they held back a little bit. And not that the show isn't worthy of it, just that I think we are going to get kind of a slow build in this one, like Andor. Like episode 1, it has a big moment at the end, but it's not the most action-packed, mind-blowing episode. It's tense. Most of it is just kind of like you feel something building the whole time, and you know shit's going to go down in the series. But it is definitely a more mature show for Marvel, I think. There's maybe one or two jokes in it, but they weren't Thor, Love, and Thunder knee slappers.
Yeah.
They were very quick Samuel L. Jackson being like, yeah, buddy, listen, you ain't handsome. It's very quick.
That's a great point. And I don't even remember what the marketing and hype was for Falcon and Winter Soldier, but for a show that was the show that was and that this is, it's like you kind of let's just pump the brakes a little bit here. You want to go over the top crazy for a comic booky movie, that's fine, but this is a little different, and it's kind of like you said, Andor, which I mean, Disney is going to probably be playing. Mickey Mouse is praying every night before he goes in. Please, God, let this be a fucking Andor for Marvel because that makes me so much motherfucking money and everyone will renew their Disney Plus subscriptions because that's the gold standard. For the people that are watching or listening that are not Star Wars fans, Andor was like this for Star Wars and it fucking hit. And it didn't hit for, I'd say, like 4 episodes is when it really got humming. And the first few were kind of like this episode. So yeah, I liked it. Actually, no, I didn't like it. I hated it. I hated this episode. I hate everything about it. And I'll tell you why. What they did in those opening credits and using AI was the most offensive thing I've ever seen as a human being. I am a human. There are other humans out there too who are just trying to make some hard work. Our boy Nathan Hurst, right? Just someone trying to be an artist, and the artists of this world, whether it's drawing, whether it's music, whether it's writing smut blogs, all of us are artists. And that Disney would go ahead and use artificial intelligence, the machines, the robots, makes them the most despicable corporation in the history of corporations and probably the worst thing Disney has ever done. So I'm out on this show. I will be logging off now. See you later, Bob.
We will never support Marvel ever again after this.
Oh,
and
God.
Cut. All right, that was for the TikTok guys. That you know. Now they did, as Clem mentioned in our quick TikTok taping you just witnessed there, they used AI for the opening credits. And people are up in arms about it. People basically just said what Clem just said, but they're actually really pissed about it. And artists, I could see an artist being like, yo, what the fuck? We're just going to start doing AI opening credits now? I think Jeff D. Lowe had a great take and a great tweet about this last night where he was like, for this specific show, where it's all about paranoia and infiltration of humanity, AI kind of works. And also, if you go to the credits, 8 different artists got credited for this opening sequence. And the company who made it put out a statement, was like, listen, we did use AI tools, but a team of artists worked on that. So I guess what people get upset about, and I might be explaining this so poorly because I don't really understand the AI art either. When you put something into AI art, Nick Fury as Skrull, I think it's taking artwork and images from other people and combining them and morphing them into one thing. If I'm understanding this correctly, a team of artists did their own art and then like AI enhanced it or AI morphed their own stuff. If that's how it went down, I don't think anyone has a right to be upset about that, because you're just using AI as like a tool on your own stuff at that point. If it's different, I kind of get it. But personally, I can't get angry about that. I just don't have the energy to get upset about that.
There's so much shit to be angry and outraged about. I feel like the tides are actually turning. I kind of messed up that I used the tides are turning, because like this submarine thing that's been going on is the first time people have just been unloading jokes on people that are probably going to die. And it's just people, it feels like 2013 again. It feels like a decade ago. And I'm like, wow, we're kind of back to where we were back in the day. You know, you know what's going to happen? KFC is going to tweet a joke about it, and then everyone's going to just, cancel him, kill him for what he said. But the rest of the people, I was so disconnected. I didn't know what was going on for like the first few days of it. So I didn't even know what was happening. And I'm just like, man, there's a lot of jokes going on. These guys are probably just going to be fine. It's like, oh no, they are completely fucked. So this AI thing has kind of become the thing that everyone's getting on their soapbox for. Hey, if it's like, I understand, I don't want the machines to come. It feels like the aliens seem like the real enemy in this show. If the AI is the second enemy and then the humans are just taking L's left and right, it is what it is. Also, if I knew how to use AI, I would probably just make AI make an entire script for me right now, and the podcast would just be AI Clem and AI Bob going back and forth while real Clem and Bob, went outside and or went to the movies or went swimming or something, right? It's like,
absolutely. I don't know how to use AI either. If anyone out there knows how to use AI, please send us some like AI versions of us as Skrulls, and we'll make a little like intro sequence for next week. That'd be kind of sick.
That would be fucking awesome. Yeah, let's who actually, I think Brendan Clancy, he dabbles in AI here and there. So I have to get
he
into
definitely
him.
does. He's
AI
always
guy.
on the forefront of whatever the next technology to take over is. Yeah.
He said to me, he goes, hey, I was thinking, I saw your Baby Yoda jump take. Have you ever thought about making AI to make your thumbnails? I'm like, Brendan, AI can make fucking thumbnails? What are you talking about right now, dude? And that's the kind of stuff he's talking about. So we are, I don't want to say pro AI, but I know the machines are also listening. So I don't want to say
I'm open to AI though. Yeah. Like I think the people being resistant, don't use this ever, blah, 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 blah. I think those people are going to get left behind. Even look at Paul McCartney used AI to isolate John Lennon's vocals on a recent demo, and they're going to be putting out quote unquote the Beatles' final song later this year. And it's just they didn't use AI to like recreate a voice or anything crazy like that. They just used it to separate his vocal take from like piano and background noise of an old demo. I think you got to lean into it. You got to use it. You got to be on the forefront. You know who was on the forefront of technology all the time? George Lucas. George Lucas made some of the greatest works ever made. So
I thought you were going to say like a couple problematic historical figures. I'm happy you went with George Lucas. So that was probably
the only one that matters to me.
2 idiots talking AI for 5 minutes. That was just that segment of the of my mom's basement. Hopefully, I'm sure that's going to come up again. I feel like AI is one of those things we'll have to address at some point in the podcast. But hey, enlighten us to the artists of the world why we should be outraged. And hey, we'll like I'll stage a fucking protest outside of Disney if we can get like plane tickets back to Orlando. Maybe we go to California this time, right? I mean, the writers are striking, the actors may be striking. Artist strike, fuck, all that's gonna be left are the podcasters and the bloggers. We'll have nothing to cover, so we'll be able to take over the world. Let's fucking go. Everyone just strike.
And if you're upset about these takes, if you're an artist out there, please don't be mad at us. We just read off the script that was written by an AI.
That's true.
All right, let's get into this episode. We start in Moscow. Our guy Heavy Spoilers pointed out we have the same font as Civil War and Black Widow when they do the locations, kind of like keeping us along that same grounded Marvel zone. And I love that we have almost the Avengers of regular humans showing up in this. Like we have Rhodey, we have Ross, we have Samuel L. Jackson, obviously Nick Fury, Maria Hill. There's a ton of memorable faces, but not superheroes in this. And they came out right away and said, like, don't expect any superheroes in this. This is the grounded Marvel show, which I'm very cool with. Your mic is muted.
AI is trying to censor me already. I'm going to call these guys the boring Avengers. That's their name.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the mute your mic again. That was mean. We meet this guy, Agent Prescott, who is trying to tell Ross, who's on the run right now. If you didn't see Wakanda Forever, Ross is on the run for helping Wakanda. And he meets this guy, Agent Prescott. He's trying to tell Ross about the Skrulls. He's like, they're invading. I'm telling you, he kind of looks like the crazy guy from like Bryan Cranston from the beginning of Godzilla, where he's like, I'm telling you, Godzilla's coming. And everyone calls him crazy until he's right. He's got all the papers on the wall, the yarn connections. And he says that they're starting wars. All of these like terror attacks and random bombings and explosions, they're all connected. It's all connected. And they're desperate for a new home planet. That's why. And Ross immediately is like, well, we got to tell Nick Fury about this. As I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, this guy's definitely a Skrull. Ross is going to have to be on the run from this guy. Takes quite a different turn, though. He says the next attack is in Moscow. That's the big one. And then he attacks Ross because I guess Ross had like a weird reaction to that or whatever. I don't know what necessarily set him off. He attacks Ross. Ross flees. He says to Maria Hill, like, I need an escort out of here. He's tracked by Talos along the way, jumps off a building into the street, just like kind of like smacks, and then is still okay a little bit, winds up dying, turns into a Skrull. He's revealed. And we got to think, how long has Ross been a Skrull at the beginning of the episode? Before credits, that's the first like 5 minutes right there. Wild opening to the show. And I assume that opening is going to be very, very foreshadowing of basically the whole series.
Yeah, we're fucked. Everything scroll list, sus list, whatever you want to call it. I, for some reason, was like, Santa, do you want to watch this with me? And she's like, sure. And as I'm watching it, and then by the end, when there was some serious shit going on, I'm like, this was probably a mistake. But she was so convinced. She's like, Dad, this guy is going to just pull his mask off. I'm like, well, they don't have to pull their masks off. They just morph into it. But she was so convinced, like you, that Ross was the Skrull, or that
Prescott.
Prescott. Dak Prescott, Cowboys, Skrull. I mean, that's
Skrull.
Fucking Jerry Jones, that son of a bitch. He hates humans.
Skrull.
Jerry Jones, Skrull as well. I was all over this, though. I got to say, I wish, obviously we couldn't do the podcast live. I was like, Ross is the Skrull, because the way the other guy was talking, there was no reason for him to be like, hey, the Skrulls are here. I'm definitely not a Skrull, by the way, but the Skrulls are in charge. So I was like, oh, fuck. And then when you hear the shot go off, I thought he got shot from behind at first. I didn't realize it was coming from the ground. I also appreciated this, and this is like a little bit of a side note, but I like that Skrull, that was Ross, didn't just fall to his death. He hit the building and then fell. It made it a little more gnarly and a little more realistic. Like, you just don't have to just fall to your death. He thought he almost had it, came that close, and I thought he was going to survive. Didn't you? Did you think he was going to make it?
Well, yeah, and then I guess it's because he has the Skrull superhuman ability. Yeah. It like took him to the last brink or whatever. But seeing his face all messed up and everything, he almost looked like Two-Face, Harvey Dent over here.
Yeah, exactly. Which, hey, another little metaphor there. You know, these Skrulls, they're all Two-Faced. Like, maybe we'll make this like an English lit podcast, and we'll really get into all the different foreshadowings. Maybe a red herring or two. I always loved a red herring. That was one of my favorite ones.
I love a red herring, but I always confuse it with a red flag. And then I always sound stupid. I'm like, oh, look at that. It's a red flag. And everyone's like, what?
Oh, no. We've had a few of those lately on the podcast, so we're just completely off with our. What was the one that we had a couple episodes ago?
What did I call I called Spider-Verse an eyesore.
An eyesore.
I said, oh my God, there hasn't been an eyesore like this. It's beautiful. And you were like, what the fuck? and Lord and Miller liked that tweet. So they've seen that, the creators of Spider-Verse.
Quick tangent. I just happened to watch the Lego movie. And again, for the record, and then I watched 2 for the first time. Top of the awesome, Lord and Miller, and they were Miller's versus the Machines, right?
Mitchell's First the Machine.
Mitchell's
They were
versus-
involved. They didn't
They-
write it or direct it, but they were the producers. Yeah.
Okay, because again, those guys just fucking rule. I just wanted to add that at some point of the podcast to anyone that hasn't seen Spider-Verse. Those guys just fucking rule.
So I don't know if you knew this. I'm sure you knew one part of it. Maybe you forgot. They were attached to do Solo for a long portion before Ron Howard came over and reshot most of it. It was them on Solo, and at one point they were attached to do The Flash as well. Which The Flash, wound up being I think for what we expected, a better movie than Solo. I know we have Solo lovers on the podcast as well. I don't mean to
I didn't need to hear this, Bob. Everything in
Yeah.
the Star Wars universe will be whatever. We're in a better place than we were then. That just hurts. Those guys are fucking awesome. I wish they were involved in Solo. They at least wouldn't have given us the Han Solo name scene at the very least. I'm pretty sure they would have killed that one, right?
No, I don't think they would have given us that one. Hopefully not. But they said it would have been more comedic, and I'm very curious because they were apparently almost done with the movie when Ron Howard came over and took over due to creative differences. What did the Lord and Miller cut look like?
What? Oh, you think Han Solo is funny and entertaining and just like a cool guy? That's not the character that I knew in the fucking trilogy. What are you talking about? Han Solo, very serious and very literal on everything too. God damn it! All right, keep it going. Get me
all right. Let's keep it going. We get that goddamn AI intro sequence, and then Nick Fury comes back down to Earth, and I love the opening shot where he kind of looks like an alien. We saw it in the trailer. But the way he's lit from the back and his head is so skinny at first, he looks like a big, tall, gray-headed alien. Walks out, though. He's got a limp, and he goes to see Talos. Talos is upset because, well, he's not upset, but he's been depressed because his wife died. And they kind of catch each other up. Nick Fury is very sympathetic.
Too. He's upset, too. I'm going to say upset and depressed that his wife is dead.
Well, yeah, he's both. Yeah.
Bummed, but a little bummed. Melancholy. Melancholy is a word.
He's got this Skrull invasion literally happening, and he's like, fuck. How am I going to convince everyone? But I'm the good Skrull,
Yeah.
I swear some of us are good, so we're going to get a lot of that as well. Has Talos been Nick Fury since the blip? And I ask that in that, the second Nick Fury came back, did he went to Tony Stark's funeral, right? That wasn't Talos.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Was it right after the funeral he went up to the space station? We know Talos was Nick Fury in Far From Home, and that's the only time we've seen him live action since the blip.
I'm gonna, when this series is over, or at least this fucking whole phase, I don't know. I need to just get the timelines for everybody because I don't know the answer.
Well, I know Ross too. Was Ross a fucking Skrull in Wakanda Forever? Because that wouldn't make much sense.
No. And heavy spoilers would say it too. It's when a guy like that kind of comes out who is so integral to the workings of agencies like this, it's so important to the other side because then it's now we have this guy, and if you could trust this guy, which our girl Maria Hill did, full fucking bore, and then it's whoopsie daisy. That was what did they call it? A Jimbo on part of my take back in the day.
It was a Jimbo, yeah.
They pulled a Jimbo. Maria Hill pulled a big time Jimbo there. Shout out Jim Thomasula. That was who it was based on. But holy cow! So I'm trying to remember because the whole Nick Fury thing and Captain Marvel and he's up in space. There was a lot of shit going on in the MCU then, and I'm just trying to get the Nick Fury I know about, his steps. So I just don't know, Robbie. It just
and everyone
makes
the whole episode is saying you've been different since the blip. You've been different since the blip.
Three steps ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I keep thinking during my first watch of the episode, I was thinking, oh my God, is Nick Fury at the end of the episode going to be revealed to be a Skrull? And then an idiot, I'm like, oh no, he literally was a Skrull. And they showed us that. They were like, no, he's a Skrull. It's fucking Ben Mendelsohn, who, by the way, in everything Ben Mendelsohn's in, he's fantastic. What a great actor. He's one of my favorites.
This is a Ben Mendelsohn, pro Ben Mendelsohn podcast. We're going to say that right now.
Big time.
If anything comes out about Ben Mendelsohn that's bad, though, we have to then wear it. Are you ready to
disavow?
You can't disavow when you say you're a Ben Mendelsohn podcast. I'm looking at personal life here on Wikipedia. Ready? Married to British American journalist Emma Forrest, has a daughter, and another daughter from a previous actress who who's also an actor. He and Forrest divorced in 2016. So nothing bad in the personal.
No
side.
arrests.
No arrests. No nothing. He looks.
Which I need right now. I need those people as my my guys.
All right, so I guess we're a Ben Mendelsohn podcast. You know his first name isn't Ben though.
Oh no, it's not.
Benjamin Mendelsohn. So if we're gonna be on the guy, we need to know, like, is Ben Mendelsohn the Skrull version of Paul Mendelsohn, or vice versa?
Oh, yeah. It's a good question. You know what else is a good question? Where can you get the cheapest tickets? Do you know the answer to that, Clem?
I mean, if I'm going to Moscow and I want to go see like a hockey game out there or something, I don't really know anything that would be good where I could get them at the last minute for a great price. Gametime. That's the answer. Gametime.
Gametime is the answer. I was going to say, you don't know anything good last minute, lowest price? This is the podcast to inform you on all of the last minute lowest price tickets, because Gametime is our sponsor, created by fans for fans. Gametime is the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, shows, and more, and they guarantee the lowest price. Go to a Mets game. I know they're not very good. Go to a Yankees game. They're not very good either. Go to a concert. Actually, do that. Skip out on the baseball games. Go to a concert instead, because that you can't lose, you know? Like you go to a sports game, you could leave a loser. Go to a concert, everyone leaves a winner.
This feels like an attack on me being a Mets fan right now, but I'll take it.
I said the Yankees stink too.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. You're right. You guys stink like above 500. We stink way below 500.
Yeah. Everything here is possible with the Gametime app. The biggest last minute price drops can be found on the seats you thought you could never buy. The purchase process just takes 2 taps and 10 seconds. And once you buy your tickets, they're delivered directly to your phone, no printer needed. The app also allows you to share tickets with your friends via text, so you could get into the game easily, all of you, and skip the hassle and enjoy the moment. Download the Gametime app or go to their website and enter your email. Redeem the code MMB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, Gametime, the app or the website. Redeem the code MMB, $20 off your first purchase. Love Gametime. Thank you for sponsoring the pod. So we learn a little bit more about the Skrulls. They're immune to radiation, so they've set up their home in a nuclear plant, which is kind of sick. Now, the name that they're going by, the little like terrorist organization that they have, we had like the Flag Smashers and cool names like that. They're just Americans against Russians. I mean, they're not creative. We learned that about the species right away. What the fuck is that? Americans against Russians?
So I actually have a take on this, and it's a little different, but it's for good reason. I actually kind of appreciated the AAR, and then they're like Americans against Russians. And the reason why is growing up, kid of the 80s, that's who you like when you were playing like Army, you were always facing the Russians. You know, Rocky's facing the Russians in the movies. It's not just the Army, obviously. You have like Rambo, you have all these different things, but you have the Russians are always the bad guys for the most part. So it just kind of felt nice. It gave me a little bit of like, oh yeah, that's right. We're back to facing the Russians again. And that's about as fucking like that. That was probably like, honestly, there was definitely like a group of kids who were like 8-year-olds that are like, we are the Americans against the Russians. Like that was the name of their group. So I almost appreciate that. The Skrulls are just basically a bunch of 8-year-olds trying to figure out. And also, quick little tangent that you had mentioned earlier. When they were listing all the countries where they had these like bombings going off, like Colombia fighting the Philippines was like one of the funny. I'm just like, I love when it's like these like two like flyweight countries just battling each other. And instead of just like, oh yeah, now we're going to get the Americans with the Russians. All right. But like, what would be the funniest combination of like two countries that were just beefing each other? You know, I mean,
that's a great question.
KB could probably have two countries I've never heard of and be like, you know,
like Canada and France or something.
No, I'm saying even like, I'm saying Chile versus Antarctica or something like that.
Like, yeah.
What add Antarctica for? Or it's like you're just picking names.
I guess Canada and France actually have had reasons.
That would probably be a really big problem too if they legitimately escalated a war between Canada and France, and then like, you know, America and then everyone in Europe right by France are like, guys, take it easy here. You know, there's some NATO shit that's probably being violated. A whole lot of stuff, Bob.
Who else would be funny? Who are funny countries?
Funny gun. Oh, we might get canceled for this one.
I was gonna say like just like a tag team matchup, like if Greenland and Iceland battled.
Oh, I would love it if the lands teamed up.
Finland, throw them in there, and it's a triple threat match.
Triple threat match: Finland, Greenland, and Iceland against maybe like the Koreas, like North Korea, South Korea, back together for the first time since the early 1900s. That would be fun too. I like the whole side where we're doing wrestling matches now. We're doing tag teams for legitimate wars. And again, it's like, it seems like they're not wars. It's like little bombings or whatever, little resistance stagings to kind of get people, the unbalance of the force, which, by the way, or the unbalance of the force, unbalance of the world. That whole thing when they opened up about fake news culture, you don't know what's real. And I'm like, fuck, between all the, hashtag fake news and you can't trust your old media sources, the New York Times, obviously they've had a bit of a battle with our old boss, now our very rich coworker. There's some institutions here that may not be viewed the same as they were years ago. And then those motherfucking AI assholes. It's like you could just throw the Pope in a goddamn, jacket, like heavy spoilers put in, and you're seeing that. You're like, oh shit, there is so many ways that like my kids, they're not gonna be able to trust anything by the time they're able to actually go on social media and see what's out there, right? So that kind of like, I think that AI does bleed into this whole world that with Skrulls where you can't really trust anything. You don't know what's real, what's not. Even the Americans against Russians seems about as black and white as it can get.
I got to make an admission. The Pope with the jacket is fake? That's not real?
I don't know if it's real or not. I'll be honest with you, but he put it in his description. He put it up when he was talking about it, and I was like, oh, was that fake? I don't know. So we don't even know what's real.
I thought that was real.
Fake.
If that's fake, I'll be mind blown. I was like, the Pope's got drip. That's crazy. Look that up on the podcast, because now I need to know. Now this is going to be. Does he have drip?
The Pope, the viral image of Pope Francis, white puffer coat, is totally fake.
Wow.
I'm sorry
to
the listeners.
Impressive AI.
Oh,
that's some impressive shit. Wow.
This is the thing about it too. And this is the part about AI that people do not understand. It's when they figure the thing, like you put a picture of, the Eiffel Tower on fire with the Canadian flag on it. And you're like, oh shit, this finally popped off. The French and the Canadians are at war. But when you throw the Pope in a jacket, it feels as harmless as it can get, right? And no, it's fucking, it's real. Here, I'll share it on the StreamYard here.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this picture, I mean, the second one looks like AI. I wasn't referencing the second one. The first picture, though, on the left, that's the one I thought was real for sure.
And even as the old Jesus piece, which that actually is where it goes a little too far. Where like he is the Pope, he's probably wearing it because it's like probably part of his poping.
That's what I thought. It's part of the costume.
Yeah, part of the costume. So it's just, this is tough, man. Like even stuff that seems so silly for that to be fake kind of fucks me up. So this whole thing, it's kind of like the whole show where you don't know what's real, what's not. Even the Americans against the Russians, which again, kind of tickles those old nostalgic things. You've been hearing Americans versus Russians for so long. I kind of like we're just bringing the old two heavyweights back up. It's Frazier versus Ali for just one more bout, right?
Also, now I'm thinking we've got almost 300 episodes of this podcast. I'm sure that's enough content, and the YouTube included, for someone to go in and in the future, just like when we're long gone, keep making My Mom's Basement episodes, like have us review the Avengers 76.
Yeah.
The Scott Lang dynasty, whatever it's going to be. And hey, have us go back in time. Have us review like Rocky IV in the 80s and put a filter over it.
Yep. Just be very careful though. You have to monitor it, because remember that Seinfeld AI that they had?
Oh, you gotta, you don't send us live.
Yes.
You gotta edit it. Yeah. You gotta monitor it. And then the SpongeBob one went real dark as well.
I didn't even know there was a SpongeBob one. Jesus.
There is a SpongeBob one. It went off the rails just like the Seinfeld one did. Yeah, that was bad. All right, so we go to the White House and we see Rhodey and the president. And the president we know is not going to last long because we have President Ross, played by Harrison Ford, coming in the next Captain America. So I would assume at some point in this series, if they're showing the president in this series, he's probably going to die in this series. Or maybe in the beginning of the next Captain America. So I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Fury goes on a walk and he's trying to get captured by MI6, is it? Because he's got to meet with Olivia Colman's character. Olivia Colman, one of the best actors in the game right now. And they're just trying to figure out what one another knows about the Skrulls. He plants a camera on an owl in her office. Cool scene. Not like, I expect her to have some big monologues in this series. Not one of those, but a cool scene.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if he hit like a button on the owl at first. I didn't
I
know.
thought the same thing.
You
It was
thought
a
the same
quick
thing?
shot. Yeah.
And it kind of gave the owl this weird, gross-looking eye, kind of like his eye. I'm like, is this just his thing where he has like the gross eye sticker?
He puts googly eyes on like
Yeah.
one eye of things.
Oh man, that would be if like that's a great calling card, like the wet bandits, where if you were the googly eye bandits and you would just put googly eyes where everything you took, that would be really funny. I feel like she probably know, like you have Nick Fury in your house, you know he's gonna probably do some silly shit, right? So I don't think he's gonna get one over on her. But then it's a matter of, I knew you thought I was gonna do this, so then I did this as well, and it's kind of just a espionage one-upsmanship, which again my brain is not able to handle. This is the problem with these shows for me. Luckily, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of car chases, which I do not like. The other stuff, the brain stuff, I'll try my best to keep up, but whew, it's gonna be a lot this
I wouldn't speak too soon. I think this is a car chase show.
You think so?
I think it could be, yeah. Like they've got the bomb, they've got the intel. Let's get to them. Blah blah blah. I mean, it's cheaper than doing a lot of CGI. That was one of the things they said later on. They were like, "We'll get to it on Skrullos, new Skrullos," but they were like, "Oh yeah, we got to keep our human identity almost for like method acting purposes." And I was like, "Oh, for we don't want to make that many Skrull masks purposes."
Yes,
and also
exactly.
you cast Emilia Clarke. You don't want her disguised in makeup the whole time. Like you want people to be like, "Oh, it's Emilia Clarke."
Oh, Khaleesi, I like her. She's really good. Yeah.
Also, is she the queen of New Skrullos? Like, is she the Khaleesi of it?
She's like the young queen, yeah, like the princess of it all, kind of like Khaleesi was when she was growing into that role. I kind of like that, Bob. Good call. And
So
you know what's really funny? Sienna said this, and I was like, I can't believe you had like the wherewithal. She goes, Dad, like the well, how did she say it? She said it in a weird way. But she was like, the people who like are on this, they're good at their like jobs, or they're good at like acting with everything. And I'm like, yeah, there's like really good actors on this one. Like and maybe it was also like more of a grounded Marvel show where a lot of the things everyone's flying and shooting shit out of their hands. But she was like blown away by that. And this, I mean, granted, she does have experience. Let's see. She was the shopkeeper in Aladdin. She's currently playing an Oompa Loompa in the summer version of Willy Wonka at the local library. So she's an actor. She's probably, oh God, I have to tell her.
Is she going on strike?
She might be. If I tell her about the AI stuff, she might just up and leave. She may just be like, Dad, I can't watch the show. I'm not a scab. I'm not going to support
what if
my fellow actors and my fellow artists.
What if your daughter rallies like an entire protest around the library before Oompa Loompa because the actors are going on strike?
I like that.
Picket signs and everything.
Picket signs and everything. Yeah. Hey,
that'd be funny.
We are pro labor on this podcast as well. Pro Ben Mendelsohn, pro labor as well.
So when you think he planted that, when he plants the camera and he sees later on like them having that conversation, you think they were having kind of a fraud conversation knowing they were being watched?
I think there's a definite chance of it. I think there's right? Because like if Nick Fury goes to your house, he's going to put a camera in. If Clem comes to your house, have some snacks ready because he's going to want to eat some snacks. Like, there's just certain things you have to do when you have guests over. Everyone knows that.
You got to know about these people. Yeah. Yep. You got to have a tub of just the cream from the Oreos for Clem. All right. So we intro New Skrullos. It was a cool way they introed it with the guy showing up, kind of like I guess a refugee showing up at the gates. They're like, let's show us your real form. He takes the hat off. It was a cool way they hid the transition in the CGI, him taking the hat off and putting it back on. And she takes him in, shows him that they have plants from the planet that are surviving and thriving on Earth. And Gravik runs it. You can leave the compound if you fight for him, are the rules essentially. And he's the bad guy. We know he's the bad guy. So you see from their side why you would want to stay there if you're a Skrull especially. And you get to see that they're more understandable, quote unquote, villains. They just need a home. And that's why they're taking over, I guess. But you can't trust these guys. And then they take them into a room of all the kidnapped people where they're like stealing their memories. And you're like, okay, yeah, we really can't trust them.
Bad dude.
Yeah.
Right? Right? It's like
Skrull. That's our
Skrull.
Version of Rico calling people scales. Skrull.
Skrull. Beto was the guy's name. I just wrote it down. I figured it would just be important, but he could have just been an introduction. He was the vehicle they used to introduce you to New Skrullos or whatever this is. My favorite part of it, though, which I guess kind of goes to what we were just talking about, having some tub of cream for me at the house. I loved that they're like, this place is so good. It has the food that we used to eat up in Skrull. So what would be if say you got, sent to another planet, you're on the run and you end up in Jupiter, and they're like, Robbie, we got some Earth food here. What's the first thing you're making a beeline for?
Food wise. Oh man, that's
because like you're just eating like foreign foods. You're eating whatever
Yeah.
the fuck is at Jupiter. You're eating like fucking dust balls and shit like that. And then it's like, boom, Earth foods here.
You see my shirt, Clem?
Hey, my guy, my dog, Tony Stark.
Tony Stark. It might be the shirt inspiring me here, but I think a good old fashioned backyard cheeseburger, it doesn't get better. If you haven't had human food forever, and then on the side, like an Arizona green tea, as I've got here,
I knew you were going to say the green tea.
You got to do the green tea, but food wise, like you could go with a cheesesteak, but like I love a good cheesesteak. A bad cheesesteak is no good, no bueno. So you don't want to risk it with that. A cheeseburger, hard to mess up, I think. And I don't need a lot. I need a burger, cheese, ketchup, some lettuce if you have it, but I don't need that. And then you give me one of those just potato rolls. Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
I'm with you. So like I'm thinking the same line of thought. If it's bad, it's not worth it. But if it's good, it's through the roof. I figure the person who's giving it to me they're curating it very well. And you get that first slice of pizza that you haven't had in forever. You're just like, oh, I fucking miss pizza so much. I'm going to go with a snack as well. For some reason, the first thing that came to my head was Doritos. Nacho cheese Doritos. Those are my go-tos. Those are my number ones. And you just get that. Even if you throw maybe, if you can't give me the pizza, give me a little turkey boar's head sandwich and you get your side of Doritos. That's been my go-to lunch forever. So I think I'm going to have to eat this for lunch now that I'm talking about it live on the pod.
I know. I'm making myself hungry already. I am going to go into the office and get some Five Guys.
Yep. So if you were hungry, Bob, say you were hungry, you wanted to have some sort of a meal kit, what would you do to, get that taste of Earth back in you?
You know what? I would go to Factor. And you know what? I'm going to do this for lunch instead because this is going to save me a ton of money. Now that it's summer, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for sunny, active days. I know I am. And I'm taking in my dog this weekend, actually, for good. So you might start hearing Faith in the background of the podcast barking her little butt off. But I want to be able to take her for long walks, and that means making meals quick for myself. So their ready-to-eat meal kit will help you fuel up fast with flavorful and nutritious ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. Factor will save you time, you'll eat well, and you'll stay on track of reaching your goals. If you're too busy with summer plans to cook but want to make sure you're eating well, you can skip the grocery store and skip the chopping, the prepping, the cleaning up, and still get the flavor and nutritional quality you need. With their fresh, never frozen meals that are ready in just 2 minutes, all you have to do is heat them up and enjoy, and then get back outside and soak up the warm weather. This June, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle, ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, no mess. Head to factormeals.com/Robbie50, Robbie50, and use that same promo code Robbie50, Robbie50 to get 50% off your first box. That's Robbie with an IE, factormeals.com/Robbie50. There you go. And yeah, Clem, this is the week that we're finally moved into the apartment enough to be able to take in the dog. We're excited about it.
Oh, heck yeah. It's been a journey for my boy.
So you've got the kids now. I've got the dog now. We're both parents. I just celebrated my first Father's Day.
Yeah, happy Father's Day, Robbie. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you. You as well, yeah.
Thanks.
So we meet with a potential Skrull here. Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn, our guys, go and talk to him. The guy with the beard. They're trying to figure out stuff about the attack, the bombing, and they're onto him pretty quick. He is a Skrull, and they get into a fight where you could see like his superpowers kind of come out. They don't have superpowers, but they kind of have super strength. And Samuel L. Jackson just wants to shoot him. Nick Fury. I don't know why I'm calling him Samuel. Nick Fury just wants to shoot him. And Talos is like, no, like, I want to be the guy to do it. No. Eventually, Nick Fury just shoots the guy. And he's like, fuck, I wanted to be the guy to kill him. I don't really know why he wanted to be the guy to kill him so bad. Was he just like, he wanted to get some aggression out? He didn't want his partner to steal his kill like Call of Duty? What was going on there?
That was the perfect way to put it, Bob. It felt like a Call of Duty. Like, dude, I was one away from a kill streak here. Or maybe just wanted to get the like, it's like you get 7 humans killed, whatever, but you get that Skrull. Like, that is the legit. You took down someone with like a, I don't even know what a good ranking is in Call of Duty. 100, 200? Is that even a good one anymore?
I think that's 60. Way too high.
60.
Sure
I was going to
say 60. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say 60 at
Could
first.
be wrong, but that's what I would guess.
So it was either that, but it did feel like there was something more to it, right? Because
Yeah.
so this was one of my favorite parts of it. The way, and I wrote Fury, but it was more of Samuel L. Jackson than anything. The way he was sitting down, he has the gun. You got one line, not going to give you two. That was Jules from Pulp Fiction for a minute there. That
That
Jules.
is exactly what I said to my girlfriend. I said, that is a Pulp Fiction ass line from Samuel L. Jackson. Give us more of that in the show, and I'll be satisfied with 6 episodes that are just like this one. Just give us some monologues like we got out of what's his name? Skarsgård in Andor, Luthen,
Yep.
when he had that, I sleep with ghosts and everything. Give us one of those out of Samuel L. Jackson. Give us a good scene out of Olivia Colman, and then just give us some more Jules from Pulp Fiction, because that was awesome.
Yeah, and the big Kahuna burger. I mean, what would that be in Moscow? The big Ruski burger or something like that? Like,
well, he passed a shawarma truck,
That's
as
right.
Heavy Spoilers pointed out, which is a nice little shout to the first Avengers. I had never had shawarma till like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. What a good friggin' meal.
It's even after a potential an Avengers event, the first Avengers event, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah.
And even the line of questioning when he's like, she lives in Miami with a soccer player. Like, I just love that was how they like outed him out. I was very proud. Anytime I catch a Skrull from the jump, like that's a Skrull, I feel so good about it right now. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel really bad when I say it's a Skrull, the sus list, and then it's just they shoot him and it's just straight human, just on the ground, dead and not morphing back. But that one felt good. That guy was kind of a scumbag, They sleazed it up to make us all feel good about it. But listen, you're right though, Bob. My brain is basically in like a jumbled knot the entire time, trying to figure out who to trust. Give me a couple just Samuel L. Jackson. Like even next episode, make him be the Samuel L. Jackson character from like Goodfellas or something. Like, you can mix it up. I don't have to. I will not. Yeah, Jackie Brown. I will not complain if it's all Pulp Fiction either. I fucking love Pulp Fiction. It's probably one of my 5 favorite movies. But it was just kind of nice to see Jules come out, man. Jules is so fucking cool, man.
He also had one of my favorite lines. I think it was a bit earlier when they were talking about how Talos is like 140. He's like, I am not even 40 on Earth years. Like, I'm entering my midlife crisis. What'd you get? And he goes, the Avengers. I was like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah, Samuel Jackson.
Throw that card down, throw that card down.
And then we get the big bombing scene, or not yet, actually. Samuel kills the Skrull. They run after Gaia, who's got that's Emilia Clarke's character. She's got the bomb. She doesn't realize it's her. She doesn't realize it's him at first. And he's like, stop right there or something. She's like, oh, that's what you always used to say to me when I was a kid.
First shot, you'll hear something like that. He says like the first
something like that. Yeah.
Or something. Yeah.
And this is the little girl from Captain Marvel, which is kind of cool. See her all grown up and everything. They reunite, and then he lets her get away in a scene where I was just like, what the fuck? Like, I get that it's your daughter and you can't kill her. You can't let her run away with the bomb in her backpack, though. And then she brings it to the bombing, and fucking, what do you know? The bomb goes off at the bombing. And it was cool how they set it up with the new villain, Gravik, where he's morphing into all of the people we've seen throughout the episode that kind of were giving Nick Fury weird looks. Very cool, very ominous. Even just the look that Gravik gave as his, not as himself, but as his normal human form at the end. Very just eerie. So I thought that was a cool way to end it. Maria Hill gets shot. I think this is the real Maria Hill. I think she's dead. I don't think this was a Skrull unless the next episode begins with her morphing into one. But she really got one over on people too. Colby Smulders, she came out and said, like, I added so much depth to the Maria Hill character in this series. I can't wait to see you guys watch it unfold over 6 episodes. And then boom,
dead. Bullet to the gut. That was tough. R.I.P. my dog Maria Hill. Maybe, I guess we'll see what happens next episode, but it does feel like she's cooked. And again, it's like, will she turn? I hope we just start off with her morphing into a Skrull, because listen, that hits me doubly right there. Like Maria Hill. Now I didn't watch. She was in all the Shield stuff, right? Agents of Shield and all that. She was.
I don't even know if she was in all of it.
But she was obviously, she's been around for fucking ever in the Marvel Universe. I'm also a How I Met Your Mother guy, and that's seeing Robin Scherbatsky, go out like that, man. It fucking hurts. Robin Scherbatsky, she might have been a fucking like double agent at some point too. Like, she's about that life. She doesn't give a fuck, even though she's like a Canadian pop star. She would be smoking cigars and drinking bourbon. She's cut from a different cloth. So that was tough to watch. Why the fuck didn't Nick Fury just shoot the guy? There's bombs going off. Just shoot the fucking asshole that you know is in Charlie. And if you hit a human, guess what? That human's probably gonna get blown up by another bomb in like 3 seconds anyway.
No.
Just start firing. No,
that last part I can't co-sign. No, I was with you. I was with you when you said just shoot the guy. Until you said if you just shoot another human, so be it. He'll probably get bombed. That's Thanos talk. That's like, hey, 50%'s got to go anyway.
I'm doing it for the greater good. That's all I'm saying. That's what Thanos would say as well. I realize. Also, shout out to my boy, the T-Man. This is the first time in a while there was like legit gravity about the snap, the blip, people coming back, how it affected everything. I mean, Nick Fury has taken a lot of shit for it. And it's like, that's something you don't think of. Like, how would you come back from the blip, especially someone with all the pelts he has on the wall, and being like, yeah, there was some big purple dude who just was like, nah, I'm just going to shove your well-laid plans up your well-laid ass, basically, right? Like, that's exactly what he did.
Another thing about the blip, I saw a tweet about this that I actually really agree with. I think the blip's a really stupid name for it. I got used to it for a little bit, and then it was really jarring. It hit my ear like a train wreck in this episode when they were like having that serious discussion about losing wives and being different since the blip. It's like, ugh. Like the snap sounds so much better.
I'm with you, but the only people in the universe, the only person in the universe, I guess, that knows that it was a snap was Thor, because Thanos is dead, and Thor Thor might have said he snapped his fingers. That's all I know.
And then Paul Rudd, Scott Lang wrote a book about it. No,
yeah, that's true.
We could excuse it. We could get it out there, but now it's too late. Now it is the blip.
The blip was created by probably a news agency like the day after it happened, and then people just ran with it, right?
And it feels like it wasn't a blip. I feel like a blip is a quick thing. It was 5 years. It felt like a blip. I guess it felt like a blip to some people.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then also like it just happened. It was like boom, it blipped, and then everyone just started turning into dust. You're just like, what the fuck happened?
But for the other half, it wasn't a blip. It was more of like the disappearance. That's too many syllables.
Yes. What was the name of that show? Where it was an HBO show. It was an HBO show where they like the people who didn't get to go to heaven.
It was a Damon Lindelof show. The Leftovers.
The Leftovers. Yeah. Was that called The Happening, or was there some sort of thing like that? It's the same.
I think the people were just called like the people that were left, they called The Leftovers. I don't know if they called it something in the show. I never watched that show.
Yeah.
But I just got your trivia question right. That was like that was a question for me.
That was really impressive, Bob. God knows, like you can tell since I don't know that is ZD's blind spot. Is TV and movies basically of the 2000s. We are just not very good at it.
So I have two questions coming off of this episode. The first one, is Shannon Carter a Skrull? I think without a doubt she is. She had that weird behavior in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which this is sort of connected to, right? Like in that espionage spy way. Takes place in Europe a little bit. I think she's a Skrull. And then my second question, will we get Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Allegra de Fontaine in this show? Head of the CIA, Ross's ex-wife. I think she could have set up Thunderbolts or Captain America 4 in this as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on all that. And that's the thing is I will be interested how much stuff going back will then be like, oh shit, this was Skrull, that was Skrull. And
I hope there's not anything that like, I hope none of our heroes were a Skrull during Endgame. That would fuck me up.
Which one would fuck you up the most? That's the most like realistic.
I was going to say Skrulls can't. The thing about Skrulls is they don't take on the power of these superheroes. So it would have to be like a Rhodey or someone in a suit, or, you know, they couldn't be Captain America because he wouldn't be worthy. So like a realistic one. I don't know. I don't know who is real. Scott Lang? That'd be weird. No, but he turned into Giant Man, so they wouldn't be able to do that.
I'm trying to think like even he kind of like fights the Hulk, but like Bruce Banner, how he couldn't turn to Hulk, but he actually was Hulk in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, actually, Scott Lang, I guess, could be a Skrull, but not throughout Quantumania. I don't know. I don't know who.
This show is just going to put my brain just running in circles the whole time.
Oh, what if fucking Black Widow was a Skrull, and it was a soul for a soul, but the Skrull version of her died.
A soul for a Skrull?
Oh, that's the hashtag for this week. Hashtag soul for a Skrull. I like that. All right. This was the first Secret Invasion recap. I thought it was a good episode. I wouldn't call it a great episode, but it certainly left me intrigued for the rest of this show. We'll be here for every episode of it, but now I'll be thinking about it throughout the week. I'll be thinking about Skrulls. I'll be thinking about, I see someone act weird. I see someone give me a side eye in the office. I'll be thinking Skrull.
If AJ comes home from school today and is nice to me, I'll be like, Skrull.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how we're going with. And listen, guys, we're trying to figure this out. If you have any like tips on how to spot a Skrull, or just like point us in the general direction, like that's what I realized with House of the Dragon. When people start to be like, oh no, you have to see it from this angle, we then were able to get better with it. So if like, or maybe we'll have to ask Jose like one day, like, hey, what should we
got to get him back.
Think of all this, just so then we can not be, because at some point we're going to start spouting off theories and they're probably going to be so goddamn wrong. So if anything you guys can do to help us, we're all ears. But yeah, all in all, cool show, going in with like tempered expectations just because of the kind of show it is. But I mean, if it's as fun as the first episode, and worst, best case scenario, it's the Andor of Marvel. Like, let's fucking rock.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. If you're on the podcast feed, you could subscribe there as well. We'll be back next Thursday with another Secret Invasion recap.